Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Josh, back with an install video for the PAKRAX bed stiffeners for my 3rd gen to 2019 Tacoma. I have been running a lot of weight on my truck over the last few years, along with the Diamondback bed cover, the PAKRAX crossbar specifically designed and made for the Diamondback bed cover. On top of this, I've had a couple of different rooftop tents I've ran over the last few years. Currently running the iCamper Skycamp Mini, which is fairly light. Before that, been running my heavier CVT tent, which is about 130 or so pounds. And I've had other weight on here, my mountain bike and stuff like that. And of course, a lot of weight in the back of the bed and been doing a lot of off-roading. One of the things I haven't done, which we're gonna do in this video, is put the bed stiffeners in here. Now, if you're not familiar with the bed stiffeners, they're brackets that we're going to install, one on each side. They'll bolt down through the top into the bed frame, and what they're going to do is they're going to create more of a rigid frame, because when you're off-roading with a lot of weight in the back, your bed will shift back and forth, and if there's any weight up top that is flexing, it can put a lot of unnecessary stress on these bed sides, because the bed sides are really the only thing that's supporting any weight above it. So this is just going to help reinforce and pull it in tight so that it's a lot more rigid. You're less likely to break anything or flex your bed, which really isn't going to flex back because it's just a composite material. So we're going to go ahead and get these PAKRAX bed stiffeners installed. These are designed and built right here, made in America, down in Gilbert, Arizona. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get these bad boys installed. We're gonna go over what we need, and then we're gonna go ahead and get these things in. So, all right, so this is, before we open the box here in just a second, I'm just gonna show you what tools I'm gonna be using for this. We're gonna be using the TORx bits, the T50 and the T40. I have some Craftsman here with 1/2-inch driver capability for those, a 14 and a 10 millimeter socket. Gonna need this to go ahead and take your light out, because we will be taking the rear tail light out. And then I've also got 2 different drill bits, not sure which one I'll need. I've got an 8/32 and a 13/32. So we're gonna be drilling out 3 different holes on each side, and the grade 8 hardware will be included in the box that you'll need to go ahead and get this install done. So what else? Flathead screwdriver. We're going to need this because when we take these T50 big bolts out, and these are the ones that go down into the frame, there's going to be some washers and things that we're just going to need to pry apart. This part is optional. I have some black Rust-Oleum metallic paint. When I drill through, I know I'm going to probably take some of the powder coat off of the bed stiffener, so I just want to respray that because these are steel. I don't like rust, so if I can mitigate that as much as possible, I'm going to do so with that. Again, that's totally a dealer's choice on that one. So let's get to it. This is the way that the box will arrive. Pretty simple packaging. I'm going to go ahead and get this cut open. So what's in the box? Insert what's in the box meme here.
With the box, what was in the box?
Looks like we have a little bit of tear in my bag. That's okay. All the hardware is together. So we got a series of washers and bolts. So this is going to be what we need to install. Of course, we got a decal. Not sure where I'll put this because I already have a decal on the back of my window, because I'm fucking awesome. All right, and then we've got the 2 bed stiffener bars. Stiffener. All right, let's get that out of here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and crack these guys open. All right, so there we have it, folks. We got the 2 all steel, laser cut, powder coated, in-house PAKRAX bed stiffeners. So pretty badass. Look really clean, nice welds. So this is gonna help keep us protected here. All right, so we're probably gonna go ahead and take out both lights first. It should be fairly easy to take out. It's gonna be the one at the very top here. There's 2 down here at the bottom. We're gonna be taking out the one on the very bottom, leave the other one. Okay, try to keep your hardware on the side of where it goes in your vehicle. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of shimmy this. It's gonna be 2 clips in here. Okay, pull that out. Mine is sufficiently dusty and dirty from all the trail riding, so I'm just gonna let that hang to the side. And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 1/2-inch driver. If you don't have one, you can use a socket, and I'm gonna put the T50 on there. So make sure it's on reverse. Should come out fairly easily. Go and set right there. Next, we're gonna go ahead and take that off. We're gonna put the, all right, so next we're gonna do the T40. Gonna go ahead and take out this D-ring here in the corner. I call it a D-ring. It's an anchor point, so we're gonna take that out. Woo. Got a little squirrely there. So, you can see it's got a series of spacers and washers. We're going to take those out. This is where your flathead is going to come in handy. Just going to go ahead and pry those off because we're not going to be able to keep those, because when we put this in, the bracket's going to be too thick, so it won't be able to go through into the threads. Okay. So we're just going to push that off. If you want, I've seen some people, depending upon what brand you've gone with, keep some of these and use them. I'm not going to do that with these, but we are going to just leave that gasket in there, so this will continue to swivel just like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our bracket, which is laying down right here. I'm just going to kind of line it up. What I'm going to do is take the big boy here, put it in. Just want to hand thread it for the moment. That T50 is the one that's going to go down into your frame. So when that's in and tight, you're going to have 3 bolts on this side, 2 on this side, and that's going to create that rigidity that we're looking for to keep the bed nice and stiff. That's what she said. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and snug it up a little bit, not too crazy. That's good. Put my T40 back on. All right, I've got the T40 on. I'm just going to go ahead and tack this back in. I'm not going to over tighten it just yet. Just want it to be in there, thread it in. Okay, so now what we're going to do is going to kind of see where this lies, and we want to make sure this is snug all the way to the left, which it should be, especially with this T50 in here, which I'm going to back off just a little bit. I'm just going to use the drill, kind of make sure it's snugged up as far to the left as it can be. And the reason why we're getting these 2 in and tightening them up a little bit is we want to create a nice alignment up top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our drill, and I'm going to use, let's see, yeah, that's going to be a little too big. So we're going to use this 13th 32nd drill bit, slap it in the drill, and I'm going to go ahead and drill these holes. Well, I'm going to drill the first one, and what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put the hardware through, and we're going to tighten that up. So then we have 2 points that will keep this straight, and then we're going to drill the other 2 holes out. Okay. All right, looks pretty clean. I like the way that looks. It's pretty straight. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab, first thing I'm gonna do is just hit it with a little bit of paint. It'll only take a second to dry. Don't care about the outside. I just really wanted the paint to be on the inside. Again, this is an optional step. You don't have to do this. I'm just kind of anal when it comes to these types of things. So we're gonna go ahead and split open our hardware. All right, so I'm gonna take one of these bolts here, one of these nuts here, and we're gonna put it through right there. It should come through on the other side. All right, so we've got the first grade A bolt with the washer at the top hole that we just drilled. And then might be a little tricky to get to on the back side, so you're gonna have to put your hand, if depending upon your model, you're gonna have to put your hand up behind here and hold it, and then just hold that, and then just tighten it up with the 14 millimeter. So these grade 8 bolts are the 14 millimeter. So what I'm going to do is get a 14 millimeter wrench to hold it on the backside. So I'm going to take a 14 millimeter wrench. I'm actually going to kind of put that in there, use my finger to hold it in place. I'm gonna go ahead and crank that tight. So what I did to kind of cheat, because you're gonna have this kind of bar in the way and it's gonna be hard. So what I did was I took the 14 millimeter bolt, or the nut, I'm sorry, and I actually put it inside the socket like such, and then I just held my finger on the back side and then slid it up behind until I felt it gripping, and then I pulled it off and then flipped it around and then used the box side to hold it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up these bolts and make it nice and tight. Switch out to the 40. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and drill out these 2 bottom holes on this bracket. We're gonna use the same drill bit. Okay, so now we've got the top one still bolted in, and it kept it nice and straight. So we got the other 2, and now we're gonna go ahead and just hit that with a little bit of paint, and then we're gonna put the other 2 bolts through. All right, Mr. Black Paint. Take my crap rag, wipe off the excess. Okay, so looking pretty good, looking pretty good. Probably hit it from the other side. No, I don't need to. I went through just fine. All right, I'm not too worried about putting these bolts in without the paint being dry. Don't really care. So I'm gonna put the second one through. Now I can just reach the back side. So I'm just gonna hand tighten those. I'm gonna grab another one. So bolt, washer, and then the nut. And then we're just gonna grab a 14 millimeter box wrench, 14 millimeter socket, and oh, look at that! Cut my thumb. Sweet. It's pretty awesome. I'm gonna get blood on everything. I think that's my biggest issue when I cut myself, is staining something. Leave it to me. Oh yeah, see, look, I'm already getting blood all over the tool. That's awesome, man. All right, we're gonna take a 30-second break and clean that cut off and throw a Band-Aid on it as gonna bleed out everywhere. All right, so after a thumb repair, I went ahead and just tightened these two up. So we drilled out these 3 holes, put these bolts back in. Last thing we need to do is take our 2 10mm screws, put our light back in. So you can see how dirty mine is. Just trying to keep those wires tucked inside so these clips won't be encumbered by putting this back in. And you'll kind of see where these pins go back in. So I catch my sunglasses there like a boss. All right, so what I'm gonna do is swap out the 14 for our 10 mil. And we're gonna put these screws back in so they don't come flying out. Just like so. Okay. Don't really need to over tighten. It's just kind of holding something plastic in there. And there we go. Here's the final product, at least on one side. We drilled these 3 holes out. Just put these bolts back in after we removed them and set it in. And then we put the tightened up these 14mm bolts, put our light back in. So let's go ahead and hit the passenger side of the truck now. Okay, now that that's out, go ahead and slide this light, pull it out of those clips. It's gonna be pretty dusty. Yes, it is. Holy crap. It's actually not as bad as I expected it to be. Just chunks of mud fall out, of course. All right, so we're gonna grab the T40 since it's already on there and take this guy out. You gotta whip it around like that. All right, take that off. T50 goes on. And just like the other side, we're gonna go ahead and remove this big bolt. And that's the one that goes down into the bed frame, or down into the frame. Should come out fairly easily. And then what we can do is grab our other bracket, drop it down, holes match up nicely, and then we're going to take that screwdriver again, and we're going to take all of this extra stuff off because we're not going to need it. There we go. It came off fairly easily. You can save these. I'd recommend saving all parts whenever you take your truck apart. All right, so my card got full, but hopefully it's able to get that. All we did was just drill this out. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with a little bit of paint. Wipe off the excess. Totally optional. Probably unnecessary, but I still like to do it. So we've got one of our bolts now. This is the one that's a little bit tricky because you can see on mine, and I don't know if this is on all years or not, but all years, I don't know for like the Gen 2, Gen 3, whatever, but this bar here, this brace, is blocking access to that. So it's a little tricky to slide your hand up behind that, and that's why I was recommending to use that box wrench, putting it in there and just using my finger on the back side to kind of hold it. And it's still not exactly easy. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is flip it around, get the wrench on there. Okay, so we're going to be using that 14mm on your socket, your 14 mil box wrench on the back side. All right, and then we just tighten her up. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it down. Now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and tighten these guys up. Don't need to over tighten, but you know, don't be shy either. Okay, so that is really rigid now. I've got a ton of doves singing behind me for some crazy reason. So I'm gonna have a little background music. So now what we're gonna do is just go ahead and drill out these other 2 holes here. Same on the bottom. Okay, pretty much done with the drill at this point. Go ahead and hit that with just a spray. Sure what's up with my can. It's just spraying at will. All right, I'm gonna put the cap on. I don't know if this thing's gonna fire on its own. Wipe off the excess paint. Okay, that rag is pretty much donezo. I'm gonna take another bolt. I am missing one, there we go. Looks like they included some extra washers as well. Got 3 extras. Just put those in your parts kit bag. So, slide that through. Nut on the back side. Same with this guy here. Tighten these up. Those are tight. So we are officially done. All right, final step is, now that we've got that all snugged up, is put your light back in. Again, you're just gonna line up the clips. Make sure that wire is tucked in there nice and clean. There we go. Got the 2 10mm screws. One at the top, obviously one at the bottom. Go ahead and hand tighten those before you crank them down. That ensures your alignment is correct. Again, you don't need to over crank these, just nice and snug. I'm not really doing a whole lot other than holding the light in. All right, well, that's it. The install's done. Figure with one person, figure about 10 or 15 minutes per side, so maybe budget yourself about 30 to 45 minutes with cleanup to do this install. The tools most people have, so nothing crazy there. And now this thing is much more rigid. I also have more strap down points as well, which is really cool because I'm constantly strapping things to the inside, and that will just make life a little bit easier. If you have any questions about these, just post a comment down below. If you want to check them out, you can go to the PAKRAX.com website. I'll have a link to these in the description below. Also check out the aluminum tailgate insert. It's really nice for keeping things flat because the factory insert has these ridges. So if you like to put your drinks or sit down on your tailgate, this is another great accessory to add to your basket. Highly recommend. And of course, my racks have been working great now for the last few years. So till next time, I'll catch you guys later.